I am Anuradha Mathur. I teach physics at Modern School Vasant Vihar in New Delhi. In our previous lesson on this unit of work, power and energy, we have been considering work as the change produced by a force. We have learned how to calculate work using graph and equations. We have learned power as rate of doing work. We have learned that energy is the ability of doing work. The two types of energy, mechanical energy per se, the potential and kinetic energy possessed by a body because of its motion, and potential energy possessed by a body due to its position or shape. We have learnt about work power energy theorem, and we have used it for calculating simple things in real life. We have studied separately the physics behind springs and the energy that they can store and therefore can be utilized for useful things around us. In this unit, we are going to learn about force and momentum, revise our concept of using second and third laws for conservation of momentum when an impact takes place, use it to explain and understand collisions, use ideas and concepts of knowing initial velocities of colliding systems, and thereby trying to find out what would be the predicted velocities with which bodies would move after collision. So, in order to start that, let us start with a simple example of collision. And to make it a little realistic, let us imagine a person who is standing at a height of 5 meters and he wanting to jump down onto the floor below. So, our height is 5 meters and let us say the person weighs 50 kg. So, 50 kgf would be his weight, and in doing so let us calculate what will be his strike velocity on the ground. So, V would be equal to root of 2 g h, and if we were to substitute the value for g as 10 meters per second square, we will have 10 and 5 here, and this gives us 10 meters per second. Now, when it strikes here, when this person strikes here, we need to know the time of strike in order to find out the rate of change of momentum and therefore calculate the force on impact. So, force on impact is going to be given by change in momentum, which is the mass multiplied by the final velocity, which in our case is 0, and 50 into 10 the initial velocity before strike, and time. Now, supposing he just lands on the ground with his feet up, then this is going to be say 1 upon 10 seconds, and if he does that, this value of force is approximately, if you calculate this, will come out to be 5000 newtons, which is equal to about 500 kgf, 10 times his body weight. He is going to be very, very badly hurt. So, if we reduce this time by bending the knees, if he does that and say reduces the time of 1 upon 10 seconds to 1 second, then he is not going to face so much of a problem and he would be quite all right. So, the collision we are studying is at this point, that means the impact of his falling at this point. All this we have calculated on the basis of conservation of momentum. So, conservation of momentum is not a new idea. We have done it in our previous lesson on laws of motion when we were considering the second and the third law, and we will go ahead and look at some more collision activity, some more work on it and see how that works for us. So, it is not that nothing happened to the earth, but because the mass of the earth is so huge that this change is not noticeable at all. Let us now consider some realistic examples which we might deal with in daily life, and we can consider just spherical systems, spherical because they are easy to imagine, and the impact is at a point we can easily imagine frictionless surfaces and we can say, okay, what would happen in that case. Now, conservation of momentum is taken care of. What happens to the energy in collisions like this? Say for example, here is a smooth surface and a ball which has a mass m1 is moving with a speed of u1 towards another ball which has say a mass of m2 and say an initial velocity of u2. So, u1 should be greater than u2 in order to strike it. So, let us say something like this is happening, then we have to say that okay, when this just touches it, this impact at this point will have conservation of momentum. Would there be any change in the energy? What will happen to the energy? So, mechanical energy per se for this moving system, if we talk of them at the same level, so no potential energy involved. So, this kinetic energy is going to be changing into other forms of energy if we hear a sound, let us say, or if we see some light happening like in the case of a matchbox. When you strike the match, you see light as well as hear the sound. So, the kinetic energy gets converted into other forms. So, it is not necessary that during collision not only momentum is conserved, but also the kinetic energy. So, kinetic energy may change into other forms of energy and it is not necessary that it is conserved. You can therefore define or describe collisions in three categories. One we are going to say which is going to be elastic collision, in which we are saying not only momentum which is conserved always, kinetic energy in its form is also conserved. So, that becomes elastic collision. The second that we can consider is inelastic, which is the normal kind of collision in which some sound may be produced, some heat may be produced, we may detect it or not detect it. And the third type is perfectly inelastic, which means after the strike, after collision, the two bodies come together. We have seen it sometimes during accidents on roads, that there is an impact and the two bodies move together for a certain distance. So, perfectly inelastic is also one type of real life collision. For our study today, to restrict it and to make it easy for us to understand, we are going to stick to only elastic collision and study it in a way that we can predict what happens to systems on elastic collision. Let us take a look at that. So, study of elastic collision. Let us again form up a surface and two spherical systems, for them to collide and let them both have initial velocities u1, u2 to represent body 1 and body 2, m1 and m2. This is moving in this direction and so is this. So, they are going to collide like this. Why have we chosen it in both in the same direction? We could have taken them like that. Sure, in that case we will just need to add a minus sign for our u2 and that then we are all set to go ahead with it. Now, if we write the momentum conservation equation, it would mean momentum before collision and momentum after collision. So, let us assume that this takes up a velocity v 1 after collision and this takes up a velocity v 2 after collision. So, our first equation would look like this: m 1 u 1 plus m 2 u 2, which gives us the total momentum before collision, and this would be equal to m 1 v 1 plus m 2 v 2. This, let us say, we call our equation 1. Likewise, because it is elastic collision that we are considering, we could write an equation for talking about the total kinetic energy before collision, which would be given by sum of these two, and this would be equal to the total kinetic energy after collision, and say this is our equation 2. Combining these equations, we could rewrite equation number 1 as m 1 u 1 minus v 1 to be equal to m 2 into V2 minus U2. Let us call this equation 3. From equation 2, we can get m1 in u1 square minus v1 square equal to m2 into v2 square minus u2 square, and let us say this is our equation 4. Now, dividing equation 4 by 3, we will get u1 plus v1 to be equal to v2 plus u2, and this equation can be written as, if you just pile up all the u's, the initial velocities, they will be giving this value. This result can be written in another modified way, and that would be u1 minus u2 to be equal to minus v1 minus v2. Let us call this equation, this one equation 5 and this one equation 6. Look at this equation that we have over here. This equation tells us the difference in the initial velocities is equal to the difference in the final velocities with a minus sign. A very suggestive thing to say that the relative velocity of approach is negative of the relative velocity of the two colliding bodies when they separate. So, velocity of coming together and velocity of separation. So, the two over here give a very unique and interesting result. After seeing that interesting result, we can now use the same equations, the 6 equations that we wrote, to find out and predict what would be the values of V1 and V2, the final velocities of the first body and that of the second. Let us first use equation 6 and substitute the value of V2 from equation 3. This will give us V1 into m1 plus m2 equal to u1 into m1 minus m2 plus 2 m1 u2, which in turn gives us V1 equal to m1 minus m2 upon m1 plus m2, this whole thing multiplied by u1, and the second term here 2 m1 upon m1 plus m2 into u2. Similarly, let us say this is our equation 7. Similarly, we could write the value for V2, and that would be 2 m1 upon m1 plus m2 into u1 minus m1 minus m2 upon m1 plus m2 u2, and say this is our equation 8. Thus, knowing the values of initial velocities and mass of the particle, we can predict the value for V1 and V2. Isn't that very interesting? But remember, we have considered only elastic collision in its ideal form, just no change in kinetic energy and obviously just no change in its momentum. Let us take up examples and special cases as to what this is going to show us in real life. So, to sum up what we did in this unit, in this lesson you learned about collision, you learned the different types of collision that could be there, you learned that for every collision the momentum is conserved, but it is only in perfectly elastic collision that even kinetic energy is conserved. For all others, kinetic energy converts into other forms of energy. Do we then have real life elastic collisions? Surely, sometimes they call glass marbles moving on glass surface to be having elastic collision. They may still have a small sound produced, which means a small percentage of kinetic energy may be lost. But at the atomic level, there are many examples and experiments that are done where elastic collision is the basis of calculation of velocities that are there for particles after collision. In the next lesson, we are going to use all these ideas about elastic collision and consider some special cases and see how we can find out the values of velocity and do they really adhere to real life situations. With examples, we will do some of that.